Hey everyone, it is Brigie from Boujee Texas BBQ, and today we're making some authentic Carne Asada. First things first, we're going to want to prepare our chuck steak. You can also use flat meat or skirt steak or pretty much any thin steak you can find at your local grocery store. You're going to want to add 1 cup of orange marinade. This specific marinade is from my friends at Lechonera, as well as the rubs. And I'm telling you guys, do not sleep on these marinades or rubs. They are legit to any Carne Asada recipe you're going to want to make. Even though I prefer to season with love, I'll make sure to include the full ingredient list down below. I'm also going to include the links of all the products I used today so you can be stocked and prepared for your next cookout. But back to the recipe. There are so many ways to make Carne Asada, but this Tex-Mex version, all you really need is orange and lime flavors, so basically a lot of citric acid and good seasonings. And the way I grew up eating Carne Asada, it usually was cooked over an open flame. I know not everybody knows how to grill or owns a grill, so I'm going to include the instructions on how to cook this on stovetop as well. It'll be down below in the description. Marinate for a minimum of 3 hours if you want to make it the same day, but for best results, marinate overnight. I'm using my Oklahoma Joe's Firecraft barrel for today's cook. Since we're cooking at a high heat today, I filled both of these chimneys up and let them sit for about 20 minutes before dumping the charcoal. Now I'm going to spread the charcoal around just to kind of pre-clean the grates before adding our Carne Asada and our sides. I'm adding some mesquite wood chips, and a little bit later on I'm going to add some mesquite chunks for that authentic Tex-Mex flavor. Once I see the wood chips catching fire, I'm going to go ahead and lower my grate and start sanitizing them with an onion. In my opinion, this is the best way to naturally sanitize your grates before every cook. Now, before I actually throw the Carne Asada on, I'm actually going to add my side dishes first. My name for the channel, Boujee Texas BBQ, is for a reason. I usually just don't stick to basic Carne Asada. I usually cook 2 to 3 dishes every cook. And since Carne Asada cooks so fast, you're going to want to cook your sides first before you even throw the meat on. To cook corn without the husk, you're going to want to rotate them every couple of minutes to make sure it cooks evenly and to make sure you don't burn your corn. And if you're going to make some salsita, don't forget to turn your peppers as well. And don't just walk away from them. Both of these can overcook very quickly. Once your peppers have blistered, go ahead and pull them off, allow them to cool at room temperature before making your salsa. Now it's time to crank the heat up to 500 degrees and add our chuck steak. Once my mesquite wood chunks caught fire, I went ahead and threw on my room temperature chuck steak. Even if you don't have a grill, still pay attention to this part. I'll put in detail exactly what to do in the description. But even for stovetop or grill, you're going to want to spread out your chuck steak so it cooks evenly. And we want to make sure that that fat renders down. So continue cooking at a high heat, 5 minutes on each side. And of course, your cooking time can vary, especially if you have thinner steak or thicker steak. So you might need shorter or longer cook time. Either way, with the marinade and rub combo that we used today, the aroma is amazing. And if you have family over while you're cooking, they're going to be asking you for your recipe. There's a big difference between burning your meat and charring your meat. So make sure your asada is close enough to the fire so it allows the flames to kiss it, but not too close because we don't want to burn the meat. There's nothing worse than burnt steak. So remember, 3 to 5 minutes on each side depending on how thick it is. See, I told you it was going to cook fast. Once your chuck steak is done, go ahead and pull it off your grill and onto a loosely covered pan and allow it to rest for about 20 to 30 minutes. And while your steak is resting, this is the time where you can make your salsa and your side dishes. Once our steak has properly cooled, we're going to go ahead and chop it. Now this step is optional. I know a lot of people prefer to eat their carne asada whole versus chopped, but I prefer to chop it after I cook it, and you'll see why in the next steps. So go ahead and chop it into bite-sized pieces and add it to a mixing bowl. Next, you're going to want to add roughly 2 ounces of chopped cilantro. Of course, you can add more or less if you prefer, or none at all. And then you're going to add some fresh lime juice. When it comes to carne asada, I prefer lime juice versus lemon juice. But of course, if that's all you have, you can absolutely use lemon juice. And then last but not least, we're gonna add a little bit more of that Carne Asada rub. I definitely recommend tasting your asada before you do this step to make sure you don't oversalt. The last thing we want is oversalted meat. And then we're gonna just give it a good toss, and the next step is really up to you. In your opinion, what is the best way to eat Carne Asada? If you can't decide, keep watching. Here are a couple options. If you haven't tried Carne Asada papalocas, I'm telling you, you are missing out. So you are going to dress them just like a baked potato. Butter, sour cream, some of that Carne Asada seasoning, and then you're gonna give it a good mix. I think my biggest pet peeve is an unmixed baked potato. Your choice of shredded cheese and a heaping amount of Carne Asada. There's no discrimination here. Go ahead and stuff that potato. Top it just like a taco. Onions, cilantro, and of course we have to add some cojita cheese. You're really gonna tell me you don't want to devour that? But maybe baked potatoes aren't your thing. Maybe you prefer street tacos over anything. Or maybe you're just in the mood for food and prefer a plated Mexican dish with some fresh tortillas on the side. Like I said, no judgment here. Regardless of how you prefer your carne asada, don't sleep on these marinades or seasonings. I'm telling you, they hit. Well, that pretty much wraps up this video. Don't forget to check out the products in the description down below. Till next time guys, enjoy.